There are so many business coaches out there promising you can make 6 figures in 90 days or hit 10K months tomorrow. And if you're a new coach, it can be hard to figure out what's for real and what's just noise. So if you've ever wondered how long it will actually take to sign your first paying client or build a profitable coaching business, keep watching, because you're about to find out. But I think that we have a massive problem in the coaching space today. And I will be the first to say that I am a part of it. So I am part of the problem. I have helped create the problem. I continue to help create the problem, along with all the other business coaches out there who are posting all these exceptional stories about our clients who are hitting success in their business really early and really quickly. And the truth is, it can be really difficult to figure out what is for real and what are some fair expectations to have when it comes to growing my business. So I will be the first to say that if you are in the early stages of your journey and maybe you haven't hit that like hockey stick moment yet where things are really starting to take off, this does not mean that anything's wrong. And this does not mean that you're a terrible coach or that, you need to stop doing what you're doing and go find another job. The truth is, when I first started my coaching business, it took me a lot of time to get traction. I started coaching back in 2016. My first coaching business was helping musicians. I was selling online courses and built a business pretty much off the back of YouTube. And it took me 6 months to make $734 in my business. And my first year, I only made around $5,000. You might look at that and say, oh my God, Jason, that sounds like it took a lot of time. And so I think that's important to contextualize this whole conversation. I am someone who is making really great money today as a coach, but it took me time. It took me a couple years to really start seeing significant traction. And in the early days of my journey, I was learning. I was trying to figure out how to market myself online and making a lot of mistakes and kind of stumbling through the journey. There's a certain aspect to that that's just a normal part of the process of growing your business. So when you go out online and you see my testimonials page and you look at other business coaches like me and you see all these stories of people, sharing their quick wins and so made 10K their first month and whatever it is, it's not that these stories aren't real. I mean, you can go on my website right now and we generally tend to highlight like the best case scenario stories because those are the testimonials that are most compelling, right? So every business coach out there is doing the same thing. And I think that to a certain extent, that's just part of marketing. Like we're always painting the best case scenario. And at the same time, of course, on your end, it can create some false expectations, create this kind of sense of like, if I'm not moving forward really fast and really quickly, then something's horribly wrong. The real question for you, the question that you're probably asking is like, how much time does it actually take? Like what's realistic? What should I actually expect in terms of this journey? The truth is, it depends. And I know that's not a convenient answer. I've had such a wide variety of experiences when I think about the clients that have gone through our programs. Thinking of my client, Andrea, we first started working together. She was like right at the beginning stages of launching her coaching business. It took her 11 weeks to sign her first $4,800 coaching client. On the flip side, I'm thinking of my client, Andrew, who came into Coaching Launchpad at the beginning of this year, and he hit 10K his first month, and he hit pretty much 10K every single month since then, 6 months in a row. He's just like been off to the races and crushed it. On the flip side, I'm thinking of my client, Anna, who just signed her first coaching client, and it's been 9 months inside my program. The truth is, it really does vary, and there's a wide variety of different experiences. And so, I know this is not like a convenient answer for you, but after working with so many different coaches and all different niches and seeing, how so many different people's journeys have unfolded, I have identified that there are 5 key things that will generally determine how quickly you go. You might have some of these things, you might not have some of these things, and that's okay. We all have strengths and disadvantages. And so I want to share these things with you just to help you gain a more accurate sense of what the journey might look like for you. So the first thing that typically determines how quickly people get results is your existing skills and background and experience. This is probably one of the biggest things. Most of the coaches out there that you see who have success really quickly generally are coming into building a business with existing skills, an existing background, or some level of experience that helps them on that journey. Going back to my client, Andrew, I mentioned, who hit his 10K month, like first month in our program. Not only is he a really good coach, but he has a background in business. He's been building yoga studios and has run several successful yoga studios, and he had some sales experience in the past and had been through some other sales training in the past that really helped him with that. So these are things that you bring into your journey as a new coach, as a coach coach who's growing your business. And I don't want you to feel like if you're watching this and you're like, I don't have any of those things, that means you can't create success. My life partner, Kimberly, when she started her coaching business back in, I think 2021, and she didn't have any of those things. She was a social worker in a hospital and ended up quitting her job and transitioning into coaching full time. And she made a little over $60,000 in a little over her first year. Now, granted, she had a business coach as a partner, and that definitely didn't hurt. I mean, she'll be the first to tell you it was not an easy road for her. Like, there were lots of ups and downs on the journey, and it was a challenging ride, but she learned those skills of how to market herself and how to sell. So those were things that you can definitely develop. And at the same time, generally I see that the coaches who move faster are the ones who have some relevant background or experience that they can bring into that journey. Some level of experience in marketing, some level of experience in sales. Even Kimberly, I'm thinking of, like, she had spent some time as a crisis hotline worker. She also was a therapist, and so she actually was like really good at selling, like, right off the bat, because she had a lot of those skills and experience that actually transfer over pretty well into sales calls. So we all have some level of this, but generally coaches who move faster have a little bit more of it. The other thing here that I want to mention is generally the coaches who move faster are coaches who are really good at coaching. So if you come in to running your coaching business and you're brand new at coaching, which is fine. I mean, there are a lot of coaches I work with who are just starting the journey of coaching. Maybe they've never coached someone before, and just expect that it's going to take you some time to build your confidence, and just being able to show up and confidently say, like, here's what I do and here's how I can help people. This is not like something that you just flip a switch overnight and suddenly you feel confident. Like, it takes some time to ground into that new identity, versus there are other people I work with already have an existing background in coaching. They've been coaching for years, maybe in a corporate setting. And so when they show up and they say, I'm a coach, there's a certain level of conviction and confidence that they bring to the way that they present themselves because they've been doing it for a while. So they generally move forward more quickly because people see them more easily as an expert earlier on in their journey. All this being said, your existing skills, your background, the experiences that you've had in your life that you're bringing to your business massively determine how quickly you move. And at the same time, I want to remind you that if you feel like you don't have a lot of those things, that's okay. It's totally fine. It doesn't mean you can't succeed. It just means that it might take a little bit more time to learn the skills and develop the skills necessary to really be able to succeed at running a successful coaching business. The second thing that determines how quickly you'll sign your first paying client is your existing network and audience. I work with coaches who come into our programs who have no audience. They're like, I have 2 followers on Facebook, and it's like my mom and my aunt. And I also work with coaches who have been showing up on social media for a while. They've already built an audience. Or thinking of my client Jake, who when we first started working together, he had already been coaching in another company, so he had some content that he was releasing on his social media platforms, and people already saw him as an expert in his space. So when he started putting his coaching out there, like right off the bat, he hit 8K his first month, and it was because he had already kind of put in that upfront work, and he had an audience or a network of people that saw him as an expert and saw him as someone who really knew their stuff. Now, the general rule is if you've got something in place, even if it's a small audience, it doesn't have to be massive, you're gonna move forward more quickly than the person who's just building their audience from square one. Relationships take time to build and grow, and the relationship that you have with your audience is a human relationship just like any other. And just like you don't go out on a first date and then ask someone to get married, it's gonna take some time for new people to start to get to know you and start to see you as an expert, as someone who they can really trust. And so you have to expect that if you're starting from square one, you're building an audience from square one, there's gonna be a period of time where you're gonna get things up and running. When I think back to my first coaching business that I started back in 2016, my first few months, I was just focused on creating content and building an audience. And I created lots of stuff for free that helped position me as an expert, as someone who really knew their stuff. And then when I launched my first big program, I already had that existing audience of people who I had cultivated all this trust with and built these relationships with. And it took a little bit of time. It took months to build that foundation in my business. So if you have an existing audience, if you have an existing network that you can tap into, you're generally going to move forward more quickly. And if you don't, totally okay. It's just going to take you a little bit more time. Number 3 is your time and financial resources. These are 2 things that I think of as like multipliers in your business. To put it simply, the more time you have, the more money you have, the quicker you're going to move. The more options you have, the more flexibility you have. The person that I work with who does not have another job and they've got 40 hours a week to be able to focus on building their business is going to move forward more quickly. On the flip side, if you're working a 9-to-5 job and you've got, a couple of hours on the evenings and on the weekends to be able to focus on growing your business, that's okay. I've worked with a lot of people who have built successful coaching businesses that way. It just means it's going to take a little bit more time because you just don't have as much time to be able to focus on building your business. On the other end, money is also a multiplier in your business. And when you have more cash, you have more options, you have more leverage, you have more flexibility to be able to use that to accelerate your progress by investing in things like paid advertising or hiring a virtual assistant to help you, or starting to outsource some of the things that you might be doing yourself if you didn't have those resources. Again, I don't want this to be disempowering when you hear this if you're like, I don't have any money. When I first started coaching back in 2016, I built my business completely organically. I wasn't spending any money on paid advertising. And I also was able to focus on my business nearly full-time, not completely full-time, but close to full-time, because I had a couple of freelance things I was doing and another business that was winding down that I had started earlier on in my journey that was providing some cash flow to be able to cover my expenses while I got that new business up and running. So all this being said, depending on where you're at on the continuum in terms of your resources of time and money, those are significant factors that are going to determine how quickly you move. And if you don't have any of those things, that's okay too. I want this to be an empowering, inspiring video. There's plenty of examples of people who are tight financially or who don't have a lot of time, people who have been through our programs, who have created a lot of success. It just means that it might take you a little bit more time to start seeing those results. And number 4 is your mindset. So this is something that's a little bit mushy, right? It's hard to see on the outside, but after working with so many different coaches, all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, what I can say with confidence is that the coaches who have the right mindset heading into launching and growing their business move forward a lot more quickly. So what are some of the things that fall under this? Well, I would say having a really positive attitude, being resourceful, being someone who, when you hit a snag or something happens, not just like rolling over and giving up, but saying, how can I get creative and figure out how to solve this? Being uncomfortable. A lot of the journey of building your coaching business is going to feel really stretchy and edgy. It's going to bring up all sorts of imposter syndrome and fear and anxiety and self-doubt and all these things. And the most successful coaches I work with are the ones who can move forward in the midst of all those things. Other things are you someone who takes action? Are you someone who can sit down and actually do the work? Are you someone who's conscientious? Are you someone who's self-motivated? Because, when you're building your coaching business, like you don't have a boss saying like, hey, do this and do that. You've got to set your own hours and be the one to chart your own course to a certain extent. So are you the type of person who can do that? And these are also skills that can be developed, and none of this is like fixed, but some people have more of this coming into the game, and some people it's a journey that they have to develop this over time. And the 5th thing that determines how quickly you'll move is whether or not you have help. The truth is, if you invest in mentorship, if you have guidance, if you have someone on your team who is helping, if you have a proven roadmap for launching or growing your business, and you're not trying to do this alone, you're gonna move forward a lot more quickly. And this is probably one of the biggest accelerators that you could possibly have in your business. And I also wanna acknowledge that I am 100% biased because I'm a business coach and I'm here to sell you things, right? So you might see this and go, Jason's just trying to, sell me on his business coaching. Here's the truth. I spent the first 3 years of my coaching business trying to build my business on my own. And it wasn't until 2019 that I invested in my first business coach. And I was eking along at that, stage in my journey. I made 6 figures, on my own. So it wasn't like I wasn't successful as a coach. And at the same time, if I look at my trajectory over the past couple of years, and we're on track to, do $1 million in sales in the next year, and it's been a direct result of investing at least $50,000, $60,000 more into hiring mentors to help me and guide me. There's no way I would have been able to figure out how to do that on my own, or it would have taken me 20 times as long to try to figure that out. Investments that I've made in mentors and guides and people who have helped me with my strategy and sat down with me and looked at my business and said, here's what needs to change, and here are some roadblocks that you might not be aware of, and here's some things in your mindset that need to shift. And also just the congruence of actually investing in myself and then being able to show up to sales calls and say like, hey, like I would not tell you to do something that I'm not doing myself. Like I am walking the walk. So when I say hire a business coach, this is the absolute best thing you can do. There's no incongruence there. It's like I'm doing it myself, like, because it works. This is a huge factor. And this is, I mean, I always tell people like, if you want to do it alone, totally fine. Like there's no judgment there. Just expect that it's going to take you a lot longer and you're going to make a lot more mistakes, because you're going to stumble through the journey like I did when I first got started before I figured out that there was an easier way. I would much rather leverage the experience of somebody else and pay money for that to be able to help me get to where I want to be faster than spend the time trying to figure things out on my own today. But that has been a journey for me, and that was not always the way that I thought. It was definitely something that shifted for me over time. And you have a choice, as a coach who's in the earlier stages of your journey. If you're launching, your business, you can decide, hey, I'm gonna kind of do this on my own, and that's fine. Like it's totally fine. Or you can be the kind of person who says, like, I want to get there faster and I want to have help. And this is a huge factor that determines how quickly you will move in your business. So at the end of the day, I want this video to be inspiring for you. I want you to know that even if you don't have some of these things that I mentioned, even if you don't have financial resources, or even if you don't have a lot of experience as a coach, you can still succeed. And I also want you to be realistic about your expectations heading into this journey, because I think that if you have realistic expectations, you're gonna be much more likely to stay the course and continue to show up. This is not an easy journey. This is not like you flip a switch and suddenly you got money rolling into the bank overnight and you're sipping mojitos on a beach all day. This is a process. And if you can just show up and commit to that process and continue to show up, even if it takes a little bit of time, continue to put in the work and continue to do the things that you need to do day after day after day, I have every bit of confidence that you will succeed. Now, if you're looking for guidance on how to actually get clients and make money as a coach, you're definitely gonna wanna check out my free client attraction guide. It walks through a proven roadmap you can use to get on track to sign 2 to 4 high-paying clients per month in your business. It's completely free. I'd love to share it with you. Just click the link above or in the description below to download that right now. And if you love this video, you're definitely gonna love that one too. So click the link on the screen to go check that out, and I'll see you in the next video.